For those of us who keep track of these things, Hillary Clinton today appearing on all 5 Sunday talk shows here in the United States. She's not appeared on any of them in a long time. Now all of a sudden she's on all 5.
Joining us now from her home in Chappaqua, New York, Senator Hillary Rodham Clinton.
Senator Hillary Clinton.
Senator Clinton is our headliner this morning.
Senator Hillary Clinton of New York, welcome back to Meet the Press.
Senator Clinton, thanks very much for joining us.
I have to tell you, Chris, I thought she was in terrific form. I can't remember if she could handle the interview that you did with her as well as she did. I don't know why she wouldn't be on here all the time, because you threw her some tough questions and she handled them all, it seemed to me, very smoothly, particularly that first question, which had to be a little bracing and unexpected.
Senator, in an interesting bit of karma, we are talking on the first anniversary of my interview with your husband. Why do you and the president have such a hyper-partisan view of politics?
Well, Chris, if you had walked even a day in our shoes over the last 15 years, I'm sure you'd understand. But, you know, the real goal for our country right now is to get beyond partisanship. And I'm sure trying to do my part.
Question, why do we want another president who thinks so much in terms of right versus left and red state versus blue state?
If you look at what I've done in New York, Chris, I won re-election with nearly 67% of the vote, carrying a lot of the same counties that George Bush had carried just 2 years before. A lot of that vote came from Republicans and independents. A lot of Republican and independent support.
Couldn't you see she was not appealing this morning to the left-wing base of the Democratic Party? She was moving more to the center with an appeal to independents, don't you think?
I think that's right.
Her message, which clearly was aimed at let's get beyond partisanship, common ground, return to the center.
This is clearly her saying, look, I'm in command of the Democratic race. I'm going to be the nominee. Now I want to make my case as a general election candidate.
I think it's important that you look at how I have sought common ground and found it in the Senate. I also have stood my ground. I know how to seek and find common ground, but I also know how to stand my ground.
If you notice, Wolf, she really kept to her talking points.
Last week was a big one for you, Senator, in that you rolled out your new health care plan, something the Republicans immediately said is going to lead to socialized medicine. It would require, among
Socialized medicine. He didn't waste much time saying that.
You know,
but I wonder if you want to respond.
Other things that every American would.
You know, the Republicans were attacking my plan before it ever came out. Opponents on the Republican side attacked my plan before it was even produced. Let me first describe the program. The American Health Choices Plan does not create any new bureaucracy. It is not government-run health care. This is not government-run health care. It does not create any new bureaucracy. This is not government-run health care. We don't create any new bureaucracy. This is not government-run health care. This creates not a single new government bureaucracy. This is a much different plan than what was proposed back in 93, 94. If you are satisfied with your health care, you keep it, no questions asked. But if you're one of the 47 million uninsured, or if you are one of the many millions more who actually have insurance, except when you really need it and the insurance company won't pay for what your doctor has prescribed, then you are going to have access to the same health choices menu that members of Congress do, because we will open up the plan that members of Congress have and give you a health choices menu to choose from. Remember, Medicaid will still take care of the very poor. We will still have the Children's Health Insurance Program for children, but if it's not affordable, we're going to provide health care tax credits for those who cannot on their own afford it or who don't have employer help. And we're going to try to provide some health care tax credits as well to small businesses, because a lot of small businesses tell me that they'd love to be able to help provide health care for their employees, but they just can't afford it. But we're going to make it affordable. In addition, we have about $55 billion in savings from modernizing the system through electronic medical records, better care of chronic care patients, taking away some of the overpayments to HMOs that have unfortunately driven up the cost of the Medicare prescription drug benefit.
Senator,
and if people want to see how I will both get health care and how I will move toward fiscal responsibility.
She wants to control the agenda. She wants to control her message.
Please go to my website, HillaryClinton.com, because we talk about how we will pay for all of the initiatives that I am proposing in this campaign. I take fiscal responsibility very seriously. It is not only a moral imperative that we try to cover everyone, it is now an economic necessity, because we can't continue to increase the amount of money we spend on health care. We spend more than anybody in the world by 50%, but we don't get the best outcomes for all that money we spend. So I think that business, labor, doctors, nurses, hospitals, and most importantly, families understand we've got to come together and try to solve this problem.
Senator, you have refused to criticize the MoveOn.org ad about General Petraeus, and in fact, this week you voted against a Senate resolution denouncing it.
I voted for Senator Boxer's resolution, which condemned that attack and also condemned the attacks on Senator Cleland and Senator Kerry. I don't condone it. I voted to condemn it. I do not condone and I do condemn. Do not condone and do condemn. Condemned and don't condone any effort to impugn the patriotism and the service of any American who has served our country honorably and with dedication the way General Petraeus has.
President Bush said that you and other Democrats are more afraid, his word, afraid of irritating the left wing and move on than you are about insulting the American military. Does he have a point?
No, he doesn't. Let's be clear what's going on here. This is not a debate about an ad. This is a debate about ending the war in Iraq. That's the debate that I want to be participating in, and I would invite the Republicans to join in that debate. And I think a lot of people on the other side don't want us to have that debate. The Republicans, because they continue to support the failed policy of this president, are looking for any way to change the subject. You know, others want to debate about an ad because they don't have a strategy or a policy to begin to extricate us from Iraq. The Republicans are very good at coming up with political strategies, but unfortunately they don't seem to have a very adequate grasp of military or geopolitical strategies that will forward America's standing, position, values, and interests in the world. I think it's time that we all said, look, let's end this and let's focus on what we do to support our troops. I believe the best way to support our troops is to begin to bring them home. I have, as you know, starting last spring, early summer, voted against continued funding for the war because I've reached the conclusion that the best way to support our troops is begin bringing them home. I will vote against funding again in the absence of any change in policy. It's really the only way that I can register my very strong disapproval of this policy, and I will continue to do so. And I think we've got to make some decisions here that will extricate us from Iraq. But if the president doesn't do that before he leaves office, which apparently, based on what he himself has said, he will not, he's going to leave this to his successor, which I regret and do not believe is responsible. But that means we will lose, as we have every month this year, more Americans than we lost last year. This has gone on now, unfortunately, for years, with the president holding on to his failed policy. The president is able to hang on to it because he has enough Republican support. It's going to be an issue in the 2008 election, and I hope that we will be electing more Democrats because that is the way to really change direction in our country. We are going to inherit whatever we're left with, and on the first day that I'm president, I'm going to call my Secretary of Defense, the Joint Chiefs of Staff, my national security advisors, to give me a full briefing on what is the planning that has gone on in the Pentagon. I don't believe we even know everything we need to know about what the plans for withdrawal are, how best to implement that. You know, planning hasn't exactly been a strong suit of the Bush administration, and you might recall I was in quite a dispute with them last spring and early summer over whether they were conducting the planning necessary to withdraw our troops. What I have voted for, and I did it again this week, was setting a date to get the majority of our combat troops out, as much as we possibly can, but to recognize there will be remaining missions. But the numbers we're talking about are very much smaller than what we have there.
You can see her preserving her options. She's not promising figures or saying that we're going to have a complete exit in January of 2009.
Didn't make that promise about bringing troops in.
No, she was extremely serious and responsible. For somebody from me on the right was thinking, she's a serious person. She looked presidential to me, frankly. I don't agree with a lot of what she said, but she was presidential on Iraq and all sorts of issues.
She was projecting herself really in this interview as a future president, not as a candidate for the nomination. She referred to when I'm president, not if.
And I will begin to do that as soon as I am president. When I am president, 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 when I'm president, obviously as president, as a senator and as president. As senator, and certainly when I become president, the day I'm elected president upon my becoming president.
What's clear is if this race does become fluid and opens up, it's not going to be because Hillary Clinton makes a bad mistake. We see how disciplined her performance is.
He has said he would veto it.
But Senator,
I think what's become clear, though, well, than what we have there, and the missions would be better. The missions would be better defined. I mean, uninsured Americans than we did before.
Senator, can I ask?
We have a lot of hardworking Americans who've given up looking for, been emboldened.
Well,
so I believe that morally on the right track to some of the overpayments to HMOs that have unfortunately driven up the cost of the Medicare prescription drug benefit.
Senator,
and if people want to see how I will both, and that this president has been unable and unwilling to put Bob, we're going to keep talking.
All right.
I think, EJ, the Clinton strategy is they'll wear people down.